Hello, viewers. I want you to give some thought to something. Kind of narrate a story. And I want you to think about this story. So, you have this person. They're a major narcissistic, greedy, self-serving, bigoted, racist person. And they happen to be the president of a country. And this person's largest donator, largest financial supporter is worth almost $1 trillion. One day, these two people, they have a meeting. And their meeting is private. They have it in some room where no one can record what they're saying. No one can see it. No one can hear it. It's just the two of them. And it's just a personal meeting between two people. You know, having a simple discussion of whatever it is they talk about, you know. That president just, you know, wants to have that privacy. And the meeting ends. President goes back to doing presidency things, whatever he or they feel needs to be done. And the wealthy patron goes back to doing whatever they do. Then, weeks later, the patron's in his office and he's told, hey, you have a visitor. They're on the books. You know, they have a meeting with this visitor's Jane Doe. That's literally use that name, Jane Doe. That's who's meeting with the wealthy patron. And this super nearly a trillionaire supporter has a private meeting with Jane Doe about whatever that no one's aware of, the topic no one has any information on. And unbeknownst to anybody, Jane Doe leaves a list of 10 names, 10 of people with this patron. And so a number of weeks go by and things progress like they normally do for people in business and corporations. And unbeknownst to anybody, the wealthy patron meets up with one of those 10 people on the list. And they have lunch. People are able to record their visit. This person, nobody knows that he has the list. And when he has the meeting with this person, they discuss things like, yes, you came highly as an attorney that might do well for my company. And I think it would be worth us pursuing additional meetings and to look at the option of bringing you into my company. And, we're not sure if we'll definitely, develop that union. But I think it would be wise for us to have additional meetings regarding the potential of bringing you aboard. This is what the public is hearing, so that way, because trying to meet secretly with those 10 people that's going to be almost impossible to do to a certain extent. And so he meets with this person. And a few weeks later, he meets with another one. They discuss similar situation. Apparently, over time, he meets with a number of people, 10, oddly enough. Again, no one knows that he has this list. So he meets with 10 people, and they're all up-and-coming attorneys or up-and-coming, legal people. And he starts spending more time with them, investing time and money into their development, to develop their talents and skills, to develop their capabilities, to help them to be the best they can be in the legal world. Investigations go into who these people are, and as the investigations go, they find these people have unique ties to organizations that had a lot to do with Project 2024 and or 2025. I can't remember what that project was, if it was 24 or 25, because I didn't take notes for this. But all 10 of these people all have direct ties with this. And so these people go into a rigorous training program with the idea that the ones that are the best could very well become part of this exceptionally wealthy patrons' companies, hired for different ones, because this patron has a number of of companies. He's looking to consolidate the companies under one name or one branch or something at some point. But for right now, he's got a company here, maybe hypothetically we'll say is an automobile company, and another company hypothetically is like a social media company or something. But these are attorneys that he's thinking, it's like, oh, I might put someone here, put someone there, but I want to make sure they get trained to understand my business well before I make that decision. So these people are on the the payroll of this wealthy patron, because they're not going to just devote their time and their own funds to getting trained for a potential job. Training's done. These people, they all go their separate ways, and they're kept on a retainer. They're kept on a very, very lucrative retainer. Next thing you know, one of the justices of the U.S. Supreme Court has been brought up on charges for accepting a bribe. And one of these attorneys is defending the person that supposedly provided the bribe. And that attorney does an amazing job. I mean, we're talking top tier job of showing that there's corruption in the Justice Department at the topmost level, and that U.S. Supreme Court justice has to get impeached, and legal charges are going to be brought up against him and everything. But lo and behold, a deal is made to try and curb the chaos, and the attorney that's after it and trying to close his case is very rigorously trying to make sure the law is followed, and we're going to make sure justice is served, and it doesn't matter who is the president and who but we need to make sure that justice is served. And of course, they're still representing this insanely wealthy patron that was the one that provided the bribe. And everything's said and done, a pardon is given to the Supreme Court justice. And that Supreme Court justice, they're impeached, but they're old and they're ready to retire anyway. So they got the bribe, so they got the money, but they also got a pardon, so they don't have to serve any time. They don't have any criminal anything held against them. They're free and clear. And the very wealthy patron is also cleared. But that means there's an opening in the Supreme Court, an opening that needs to be filled. Now it's time to find someone that would be good for this. And interestingly, over a month period, we'll say, a really comprehensively good list is built for the candidates. This one justice that brought down the hammer and made sure the U.S., made sure that one justice was impeached at the very least. They can't really control what the president does, but they got justice for the American people. And that justice is on the list too. And so now got 10 here. That's a lot. It's a lot. But we're pushing really hard for like 3 of the 10. We have the other 7 as fallback if those really good candidates don't make it. And one of those 3, or maybe not those 3, one of the other 7 left get that position. And they, during the period that they were being trained for the very wealthy patrons, those jobs, they were exhibiting powerful, heavy, strong justice vibes. This person is for America. This person's for the people during that period. What they did before that, don't really know for sure. Some things, stories come out, but during that period, boy, they really got a lot of social media catching pictures of them and interviewing them and doing things that were big time for the people. And a new justice is brought in, a young one. They're unexperienced. They're not really, the best, kind of a Brett Kavanaugh kind of experience. But they're more American and for the people than Brett ever was. And they get in there. And after a month or two, another justice is brought up on bribery charges. And they're impeached. And they're pardoned. And then we have 9 other justices that are still vying for that position. And those 9 justices are A+ candidates. So, we're just going to work with those 9 because to save time, taxpayer money. And one of them gets in. Now, the justices that got impeached, they were bribed like $1 billion each. Here's $1 billion to do what I want. So it cost that wealthy patron, $1 billion. Because those justices kept the money. But then one of those Democrat justices is approached, and they're offered $5 billion or $10 billion. And maybe $20 billion. And they saw what happened with the other 2. They got impeached. But they want to take the money, but they don't know if they're going to get pardoned. But secret meetings take place, and one of the Democrat ones take the money, and they get impeached, and they get pardoned. Wow. Did they get 20 billion? Probably not. 10 billion? Probably not. But maybe 4, maybe 3, 4 billion, because they aren't as quick to let that happen. But we've now set a precedence, because now we have some good new justices in there, and we're getting rid of these corrupt older justices that have been in there for a long time, and they're getting billions. So they have a good retirement. In fact, their family line is pretty much almost guaranteed to be cared for, because they got a pardon, they walked away with billions. So we've set a precedence to such a point that the other justices are actually kind of wondering, are they going to get lucky enough to have someone offer them $2, $3, $5 billion? And lo and behold, another Democrat justice gets impeached, gets pardoned, and walks away with billions. But we got amazing new justices in there now. People that fight for the people. Now, after this kind of happens, our ultra rich patron, they have a company and they're doing things, and they're going public with a company they have, and the president is like, oh my gosh, this company, I'm telling my family to invest into this company. This is the place to go. This is going to make so much money for every investor. And so that patron, they open up and their stocks just go way up, right? Super high. And that patron just becomes crazy rich from these stocks. And that patron sells off a lot of his own shares, because that's the deal that was made, is, he's not going to actually, he can also, provide his own personal shares to help promote the company, to help it get strong. And then it's leaked that something has gone majorly wrong with this company. And that president is like, oh my God, who knew something so horrible was going to happen? Oh, that company is probably going to go completely bottom up. Oh, I'm going to have to look at other companies, because I was going to give this guy a lot of contracts with the government, because he's such a good company, but I'm going to have to look at some other options. And the stocks plummet. And the super rich patron does a stock buyback to try and save the company. So he's buying all the stocks that are plummeting. That's going 20%, 30%, 40%, 60%. The stock price has gone down 70, 80%. And so he's buying the stocks back left and right. And then they show that leak was a false leak. It wasn't true. It was fake by someone, or somehow it got out, and it wasn't even true. And he's shocked. I can't believe people would try so hard to destroy my company. And the president is like, wow, even I was sucked in. But you know what? You're amazing, and your company's amazing, and we're going to keep going with those contracts we were going to have with you, and you're going to get our stuff where it needs to go. We're going to do so well, we're going to go to the moon. And the wealthy patron becomes wealthier than ever before. And 10, 20, 50, $100 billion invested into attorneys training and into potential bribes is chicken feed. But what's interesting is the United States Federal Supreme Court now has shills president's shills in office who financially will be taken care of for the rest of their lives. Their families will be taken care of for the rest of their lives. But moreover, they're not who they presented to be for that period of time. Social media was promoting them. So now you have a crime boss in the presidency, and you have that crime boss's minions in charge of the courts. And if everything goes right, he will also have the House and the Senate under his control. Give that some thought. It's not a good thing to think about, but it's possible.